I'm Tabria and I'm making voter guides for every single state for the midterms this year, and today we're doing Nebraska. I'm gonna skip the disclaimer today, but if you're impatient, you can screenshot the voter guide here, and it's also in my bio with everything hyperlinked. For Nebraska, your primary is May 12th, and you need to be registered by April 27th or May 1st, depending on how you registered. Please try to vote early if you can so you're not dealing with any shenanigans the day of. All right, let's start with your US Senate race because it's an interesting one. Your standout candidate is an independent, Dan Osborne, and normally third parties don't fare well, but he's polling neck and neck with Pete Ricketts. He's not a progressive, but he is pro-worker, pro-union, anti-billionaire, big on farming, pro-cannabis. Please do not write him off just because he's calling for strong borders. Remember, he's trying to appeal to a wide voter base. And even though there is this anti-MAGA movement happening in the Republican Party, a lot of them are still conservative to their core and can't fathom voting for a Democrat, so he has to toe the line. This is very important, so listen up. So Dan Osborne ran back in 2024, and he only lost by 6 points, which is very good for an independent candidate. But there were no other Democrats running, which really worked in his favor. However, there are 2 Democrats on the ballot this year, Bill Forbes and Cindy Burbank, and there's a little shady business going on. What the Nebraska streets are saying is that Forbes is a plant by Pete Ricketts so he can siphon away votes from Dan Osborne in the general election. So Cindy Burbank said 2 can play that game, and she filed to run as well. All her campaign website says is that Bill Forbes is a snake and that she will fully support Dan Osborne in this election. So Nebraska, what you're gonna do is for the primary election in May, vote for Cindy Burbank, and then in the general election in November, vote for Dan Osborne. Moving right along to your congressional district, starting with District 1. You have 2 Dems running, and one is slightly more progressive than the other, and that is Eric Moyer. His platform is more diverse than Bacameyer's, but I feel like Backameyer might be more electable because of his experience. But come November, are conservative voters even looking at the Democrat ballot? Probably not. So I'm hoping Moyer can inspire new voters to turn out. Either way, whoever ends up winning, that's who you vote for in November. So for District 2, your standouts are John Kavanaugh and Denise Powell. Now this district is 50-50. In the presidential elections, y'all lean Democrat, but in the midterms, y'all lean Republican. And I really think this just boils down to a lack of participation in midterm elections. So please get out there and vote, y'all. I'm inclined to go with Denise Powell because I think it's advantageous that you keep John Kavanaugh in y'all state Senate versus risking losing his seat to a Republican by appointment. But it depends on if he pulls out in time or not. Either way, Denise Powell is my pick. District 3 is overwhelmingly conservative, so I just went with Becky Still. For your statewide offices, I'm only going to focus on the governor, but the rest are in the guide. I'm obviously going balls to the walls with limb walls. Honestly, a pair of balls will be better than Jim Pillin the villain. Tell me why he approved a $2.5 million no-bid contract for a small consulting firm with 1 single female employee, if you catch my drift. And then the dead body of a 17-year-old boy was found on his hog farm? I'm not saying he was involved, but it's suspicious. Y'all haven't had a Republican governor in over 25 years, and they said y'all's football team sucked ever since, so Lynn Walls it is. That's it for Nebraska, and now it's time for your homework. Be sure you're registered to vote and check your registration periodically in case of any funny business going on. Check your sample ballot and polling place so you know what you'll be voting on beforehand. And tell a friend to tell a friend. Share this with 3 friends online and offline so we can get as many people to the polls as possible. That is it for today, and I'll be back next with West Virginia.